Hey there, this is Amanda with Preparing Hearts at Home. It has been literally a month of Sunday since I made a video, I think, but we've just had a lot of busyness in our life and the birth of baby number 7, so nothing wrong, just busy life. So, but today I wanted to do a video to compare the differences and the similarities between Heart of Dakota and Simply Charlotte Mason and A Gentle Feast. Now this is definitely not going to be comprehensive and tell like every single thing that's different about the different curriculums. And I have my handy notebook for my notes, which I like to have. And I'm sorry if the camera shakes a little bit. I have it propped up because I do not have a tripod, and so it's kind of wiggling anytime I touch the table. So I will try to not to do that. But when it comes to all three of them, Simply Charlotte Mason and A Gentle Feast are definitely Charlotte Mason curricula. Heart of Dakota would be considered, I know that they say that they're like Charlotte Mason inspired, so I guess they follow some of her principles but not others. And if you really don't know like what the 20 principles of a Charlotte Mason education are, I know that A Delectable Education podcast has done a really good job of explaining all of that. And they have I know that they did a series where they talked about each of her different 20 principles over several podcast episodes. So you can go check that out at their website and find out exactly what a Charlotte Mason education is. But so the similarities between HOD and SCM and AGF are going to be that they all use living books. They don't use like a science textbook to cover all of your science for the year, or one history book to cover all of your history for the year. They use living books, so they're going to be biographies, like books that have to do with that time period that are written in a narrative style. And another good resource for learning about that, Simply Charlotte Mason has a podcast. You could go to their website, or you could use YouTube as well. They have a YouTube channel, so they post all of their episodes on there. But Sonia Schaefer did a really good job of explaining what a living book is, because I don't really know how to describe it. It's like you know it when you see it, but definitely it's not a textbook. You know, it has a completely different feel. And so HOD, AGF, and SEM all use living books. The A Gentle Feast and Simply Charlotte Mason use it to a greater degree than Heart of Dakota. So especially when you get into the upper grades with Heart of Dakota, the upper guides, you're going to start using a little bit more textbooks. But they are really good for that. And so even though I haven't used Heart of Dakota for I think like 3 or 3.5 years now, something like that, I still use their book lists to help me if I need to find something that would work for one of my kids' reading level, like free reads or even just in literature. So they do have great book lists, and they do, like I said, use living books. A Gentle Feast is basically completely using living books. Once you get up into Form 2 with A Gentle Feast, they do introduce spines, like history spines. So you're not using just living books for history. Like they do use like the famous men books, famous men of Greece and Rome in the Middle Ages. They do use the story of the Great Republic, the story of the ancient world. Like this year, we are in cycle 4 with AGF, and so my Form 2 girls are using America's Story Volume 3 from Master Books as their American history spine. But they also add in living books as well, so you're not just using the spine. Some other similarities between HOD and AGF are going to be that they do incorporate copywork and dictation. With A Gentle Feast, that's pretty much when you use their language arts packets. You know, definitely copywork is every week and dictation is every week in there, as well as learning a grammar day, and let's see, drawing, like a drawing prompt and a composition prompt. And that is for just Forms 1 and Form 2. So I have not, my oldest is in Form 2 this year. She's in 6th grade. So we haven't used a Gentle Feast for Form 3 yet, which, that this coming school year we will be. But with the Gentle Feast, or I'm sorry, with Heart of Dakota, they do use Copywork and they do use dictation, as far as I remember, up in, the guides that we used. So we only went through, what was it called? Bigger Hearts. The Bigger Hearts guide. We quit Heart of Dakota about halfway through that guide. And so I can't speak to like their middle school guides or their high school guides at all, because I didn't use those. But through Bigger Hearts, I know we used Copywork and dictation. They would use poetry for that. And when it comes to narration though, excuse me, I cannot remember if we did that. I cannot remember if there was like a prompt for narration in the guides or not with Heart of Dakota. With a Gentle Feast, that is, every single reading, and that starts in Form 1. So 1st grade on up, every reading they do, whether that be, history or natural history or science or Bible or literature, everything they narrate when they're finished. And so you don't add the written narrations until they're older. And I think, let me think what grade it starts. Like for us, I don't usually start that until about 3rd grade. Before that, I have my kids just orally narrate. So in 3rd grade with the Gentle Feast, I have my kids do a written narration when they're finished with each of their literature books. I don't usually have them do a written narration after history or natural history. But starting in Form 2, which would be 4th grade, they do written narrations. I usually just have my kids do it once a week. And the thing is, Julia Ross, who's the author of A Gentle Feast, she has done a great job of explaining the Charlotte Mason philosophy and like how to use her curriculum, how she set it up, and how she designed it to be used. So when you purchase it, you get videos to your email. I think it's 5 days of videos of her teaching you how to use each subject and how do you use the language arts packets and how do you do narration and copywork and dictation. So she gives you like an education, as soon as you purchase it. And also each of her books, excuse me, I'm getting over a cold, so I keep having to clear my throat, but in the beginning of each of her books, like the teacher's guides for the main curriculum and also for the language arts packet, there's tons of information about how to use that specific book and how to do each subject. So even if you aren't really familiar with what a Charlotte Mason education looks like, you really won't be left in the dark with A Gentle Feast. It's like I was pretty familiar with it when I started A Gentle Feast during the 2020-21 school year, but I still learned so much through the videos that she has made and through just reading like the parent information in the teacher's guides. So that was a long way of saying that yes, you will do copywork and dictation with both Heart of Dakota and AGF, but I don't think narration is used quite as much with Heart of Dakota. But like I said, we only went through about halfway through the bigger guide, the Bigger Hearts guide. So it could be used more in the middle school guides. I'm not sure. Okay, so I know I didn't really mention Simply Charlotte Mason in that necessarily, but like I said, 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, I made a video where I described the difference between Simply Charlotte Mason and AGF and why we were choosing AGF over Simply Charlotte Mason. And I know I basically described a lot of the similarities and differences between the two of them. So I'm not really going to talk about them a lot in this video. But the differences between HOD and AGF would be, like the first one I have that I could think of would be like the structure, like how they're even like used. So with Heart of Dakota, the biggest thing that's going to be different, like right off the bat, will be each grade level has its own teacher's guide, and so they have all of their own separate books for everything, like every single subject. So if you have a large family, for us, when we were leaving Heart of Dakota and switched to Simply Charlotte Mason, at that time we had, I believe, just 5 kids, but we didn't have plans of like ending our family there necessarily. So I thought, this, once all of my kids are school age, this is going to be crazy to keep up with this. So that was a big draw to go to a more Charlotte Mason style of education, is because with Charlotte Mason style, you're separating the grades into forms instead of 12 or 13 different grade levels. So with A Gentle Feast, you have 4 forms. I know Charlotte Mason had 6. So like if you're a Charlotte Mason purist, you'll probably use 6. But both Simply Charlotte Mason and A Gentle Feast use 4 forms. So basically they're just separated in 4 groups of 3 grade levels all the way up, which makes it so much more doable if you have a large family, to be able to give a targeted education for like their abilities, and yet still keep your sanity and not have, if you have 7 kids, like 7 different complete programs going on at the same time. To me, I was just thinking, oh my goodness, I can't do that. And now that I am adding more students since back then, I'm totally thankful that I'm not having to do that, to have individual grade levels for each kid. So the next thing that would be different with A Gentle Feast is they have a combined morning time. So with Heart of Dakota, each kid has their own Bible, basically everything separate. And so with A Gentle Feast, you have morning time, which includes Bible, this is all family subject too. So all of your kids are together for this. For Bible reading, memory, Bible memory passages, poetry recitation, picture study, composer study, poetry, and then they do like a fable or hero tales kind of book, like biographies or fables, that sort of thing. And let's see, and hymn study. Hymn study would be the last thing that I can think of. So that is set aside. It's scheduled for you with A Gentle Feast. If you buy just the teacher's guide, it is listed in there. You can, like on the front page of that week, you'll have like the schedule of like what you're reading each day in the Bible, and it'll tell you like today you're supposed to do your composer study or it's poetry recitation day. So you have to purchase the morning time packet in order to get the prints. So she has all of the artist prints in the packet, and she has the hymns in the packet, and all of the poems for recitation for each of the 4 forms, they're in the packet. So it is extremely helpful. I guess you don't technically have to buy the packet. You could, she'll tell you the name of the poem in the main teacher guide, but then of course then you're going to have to go hunt that poem down and print it out and all that. So I just thought having it already there in the morning time packet was super helpful, and it's it's really reasonably priced too. So so morning time is not really included in Heart of Dakota, so that's a difference between the two. Another thing that's different, I mentioned this a little bit earlier already, is the 4-year cycle. So A Gentle Feast and Simply Charlotte Mason both have a 4-year cycle. Heart of Dakota doesn't do that. They have up until about their Preparing Hearts Guide, they're doing some of they're just studying American history, like certain years, and then other years, I know like the Preparing Hearts Guide kind of does, I think it does like world history maybe. I don't know. I can't exactly remember. But it's not really in a cycle form at all. So I guess the 5th through 8th grade guides are a bit more like the 4-year history cycle. But then when you get to the high school guides, you're not really following a 4-year cycle then either, because they're studying like geography and then world history and then 2 years of American history for high school. So Heart of Dakota is set up completely different than like a cycle system. So with A Gentle Feast, you have 4 years, a 4-year cycle. So you're doing, cycle 1 would be like the discovery of America and the beginnings like of colonization, and then cycle 2 would be more like you're studying like the 1700s, so like the Revolutionary period. Cycle 3 you're studying roughly the 1800s, and then cycle 4 you're studying like 1900s to up to modern times. So you just cycle through all 4 of them over, if you start in first grade, you're going to get through it 3 times. Another thing that's different is that the way Charlotte Mason had it set up was that there would be streams of history. So when your child is young, like in Form 1, you're just doing American history. You're supposed to do the history of your home country. Form 2, which starts in 4th grade, it goes from 4th grade to 6th grade. That's when you add in world history as well. So you do your home country and then like your neighboring country. So Charlotte Mason, she did France. Well, the way A Gentle Feast has it set up, since America, it was like a colony of Britain, that's kind of like our neighboring country, or not really neighboring obviously, but like where we came from. So that is what your kids will study that as well, British history. And then in 5th grade, so that's, the world history part, the British history part starts in Form 2, 4th grade. But then 5th grade is when you add in that 3rd stream of history, which is the ancient history. And so you study like the early Middle Ages, the Greeks, the Romans, and then the ancient times. Like I said, Heart of Dakota does not have that. You're not constantly cycling through from the beginning to the end of your kids' education. And then with Simply Charlotte Mason, I know I mentioned this in a previous video, they have 6 years of a history cycle. They have like 3 years of ancient, and then a Middle Ages, early modern, and modern. And so actually that's one of the things that I didn't like about Simply Charlotte Mason that kind of helped me decide to move to AGF. And then another difference that I could think of off the top of my head was with A Gentle Feast. They do living science in the higher grades. So I know with Heart of Dakota and also Simply Charlotte Mason is different than AGF in this way as well. So in the high school years, A Gentle Feast uses the Sabbath Mood science guides. So they consider that living science. And I know like Simply Charlotte Mason, Sonia Schaefer, I've heard her say that when you're that age, you need to study science and not just read about science. So I get where she's coming from with that, but A Gentle Feast does use the more living science approach even in the high school years. And I know there's obviously several different kinds of Charlotte Mason curricula out there nowadays, and I know a lot of them use more living science books as well, and not just like apology textbooks or master books or whatever. But AGF does recommend, I don't know if it's like necessarily a grade level, like maybe 11th or 12th grade. They use the advanced pre-med that Master Books offers. So they do use that for like 1 whole year of science if you want. They use the Sabbath Mood biology and physics and chemistry starting in 9th grade. So like even though 9th grade is still considered part of Form 3, for science they are kind of separated from the rest of Form 3 students in the area of doing biology. They do biology in 9th grade, and then physics and chemistry, and then the advanced pre-med studies from Master Books. But with Heart of Dakota, in the very early grades, they use more of like a living science approach. And then like in the middle school guides, I know they do start adding in the Apologia textbooks. And then by high school, they use I don't even remember what it's called. Let's see. I can't remember. I won't botch that and tell you something that's wrong, but they don't use a living science approach. So that is definitely a difference between Heart of Dakota and A Gentle Feast as well. But I mean, I think from the, from what I can remember from using Heart of Dakota, these would be the main differences that would really stand out to me. The things that I've mentioned here. But I can't think of anything else, and watch, as soon as I finish this video, I'll be like, oh, I should have said that. But both of the curricula, if you go to their website, they do have downloadable samples where you can check them out and see which one would fit your family better. Something else, this isn't necessarily a difference just with Heart of Dakota. Heart of Dakota is set up though with like each day you open the book and they have a 2-page spread for each day. And so for me, I think I mentioned this in the video when I was saying that we were leaving Heart of Dakota to use Simply Charlotte Mason. But like if you don't do like the Bible box or the science box for that day, you have a doctor's appointment or an emergency comes up or something, and so you turn to the page the next day, well, you still need to finish that. And so, but you're like, oh no, I've got yesterday's Bible and science and today's. And for some people that might not be a stressor. For me it was, because I couldn't really figure out, well, they're like every day, it's, every single subject is on the page every day. If I don't do it one day, that means I'm gonna have to double up. And because I don't really know how to describe what I'm trying to say, every day it's scheduled for you. So there is no like free day or makeup day or things like that. And that was a little bit stressful for me. With A Gentle Feast, the way it is set up is the teacher's guide has your whole week's plan for all 4 forms. So all of your kids are there, like everything they need to do for that whole week is right there on your 2-page spread in the teacher's guide. And it doesn't tell you a day. Nothing is written out like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It is all just for history. These are the 3 things you need to do this week. For science, these are the 3 or 4 things you need to do this week. And so you get to decide which day you will do what, assignment. And that's how it is for all of it. And so to me, that is extremely helpful and is very, stress-free for me. So that is also a major difference between Heart of Dakota and A Gentle Feast. And really that's different from Simply Charlotte Mason as well. They had, more lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, 4, 5. So theirs was, more relaxed than a Heart of Dakota as well, but still not quite as relaxed as A Gentle Feast, if that makes sense. And I know I've mentioned this in a video before too, that Simply Charlotte Mason, they have like the history, geography, Bible guide, but then for all of your other subjects, you have to get the individual studies for your kid's grade level. So in those ways, you're going to have separate grade level for everything. So kind of like all of those things combined is why A Gentle Feast was just kind of like a no-brainer for me and my family and our situation. And we are in the middle of our 2nd year with them. We are in cycle 4. We did cycle 3 last year. And last school year, I know I never did like a update video like, well, how are we doing or whatever at the end of the school year last June or whatever in 2021. But I finished that school year, and I think that's really like the first time in years where I was like, there isn't really anything I would change. I just loved it, and it worked smoothly, and it wasn't stressful to me, and it seemed doable. So this year so far, it's really just turning out to be the same way. So I'm really thankful to have found A Gentle Feast, and I'm already purchasing books for next school year because, to spread it out a little bit, because that is something with using a living education and living books. It's a little pricey if you want to buy them, and not just rent them from the library or use the audiobooks or Kindle books or whatever. But we really like to build a legacy library here at our house for a family. And so we just go ahead and purchase the books when we're able to. So I kind of just do little chunks at a time. I write down a whole list of what I need and do little chunks, and you know, get all the books purchased before the next school year starts. So anyway, that was a little bit rambling, but that was the differences that I could think of between Heart of Dakota and A Gentle Feast. You know, a couple similarities using the living books and, you know, incorporating the copywork and dictation some, but mostly they're just a different philosophy and a different way of going about things. So they really couldn't be a whole lot more different than they are, but people use both of them and love them. So I think it just depends on everybody's unique circumstances with their family, and probably family size and circumstances and all that kind of stuff. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it was helpful for you. If anybody has got any more questions about Heart of Dakota or Simply Charlotte Mason or A Gentle Feast, I will do my best to answer their questions. Those are really the three main, you know, curriculum that I have any experience with. So I will see you guys again in my next video, and I hope everybody has a great rest of the school year. And if you need to make changes in your homeschool, just do it. You know, don't be afraid to change things up. You know, you probably won't regret it, because sometimes that's what is required to help us have smoother days for our schools. But my little guy, he's done being patient, so I gotta go. But I will talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.